Yeah, good morning. Thank you for the time. Pat, in your time here, you guys have been both successful on the road, but also particularly against Western Conference teams. And you've talked a little bit about the preparation that goes into these kinds of matches. But in facing Portland, it's the first time the club has ever gone to Portland. What are some of the reasons you think that this team has been so successful against Western Conference teams you haven't played very often, and on the road?
I think we've been consistent in our play. I think guys know how to play on the road. I think we have good players that understand, how to navigate different challenges in the league as far as travel and playing against Western Conference opponents that you might be relatively unfamiliar with. I think they do a good job of doing their homework and understanding what's ahead of them. So hopefully we can find that same success this weekend, but it'll certainly be a difficult task.
Going into this weekend as a new opponent in Portland,
Mm-hmm.
what have you seen from them? What stands out to you about the Timbers?
I think Phil's got the group going in a good direction. They've had a good Leagues Cup despite not advancing, and they got a lot of weapons. Very good in transition. I think the structure has been a little bit different in the last couple months as far as what we've seen from maybe the beginning of his time there, but defensively organized, home or away, there's a lot of similarities with the play and understanding how to step to the ball. I think one of the better possession teams, but not afraid in playing direct and knowing how to play behind. So I think what we've seen is a good balance, and they've played recently against different types of opponents. Certainly with the Leagues Cup, on the road against Dallas, at home against Minnesota. So we've been able to analyze some different types of games, and I think there's just been consistency in their play, and they have a lot of talent on that roster.
With the Vander going back, sometimes that can draw up some different emotions and different reactions from the crowd, obviously. I guess, what are you expecting from him just in managing that? And is he kind of just the kind of player you don't really expect to be bothered by that?
He's been normal all week. I'm sure he's excited to go back. There's connections that you have when you've had success at a previous club and spent time there. So I know, despite the exit and us being fortunate enough to add him to our group, he's excited to go back, and I'm sure, be in front of those fans and play against some of his old teammates. So he's been steady as usual, and we're hoping to get a strong performance out of him to help lead our team.
You guys were in a nice run of form before Leagues Cup, and now kind of trying to get back on track, and 8 games left in the regular season. What do you feel like you need to see over this last stretch of games, just heading ideally into the playoffs on a, I guess, what do you want to see, and what are kind of the goals at this stage?
I think we need good health. We have, I think, pieces that have been missing, important pieces consistently over the last few months. So when you go into the stretch run, having healthy players and depth is going to be key. I think we've had pretty good consistency in our play with and without the ball. There's always things that can get better, but defensively, at this stage, you have to be very sound. You can't make, big mistakes that cost you goals. And so I think that part has been, for the most part, better in terms of our play, eliminating those big mistakes and making teams work to score goals. And with the ball, it's the final third. I think we've positioned ourselves to score goals. It's the hardest thing to do, and I think that's where we can be more aggressive. We can be more hungry. I think there's still opportunities, not just the missed opportunities, but opportunities to move to goal in a certain way where I want to see guys hunger in those moments.
You talked some about Evander returning to his former home. What are your thoughts on how a player, like in the moment when the game is happening, can harness that energy and emotion in the right way?
They have to, I don't care how talented you are, you have to simplify decisions. When you start trying to do too much and take over games in the wrong moments, that could, be detrimental to the team. And whether that's Evander or any player, continue to play in a way that's had him so effective with our group and understanding the moments to make an impact. That's where he's been very consistent. And in a game like this with, maybe more emotions and adrenaline, understanding the right moments to be the playmaker and understand the right moments to help connect our group with and without the ball. And so I'm excited to see how he plays the game in certain moments with those things in mind that I just talked about.
Are those conversations that you feel the need to have with him leading up to the game, or is he the type of guy, the type of player who, you trust to be able to do that without those conversations?
We trust him. It still won't hurt to have subtle conversations about, how you feeling and, how can we help you? That's always the case. How can we help players in different types of situations where emotions might be a little bit different than, your average game? So try to help guide him. I don't think he needs too much guidance with what we've seen of his play and being able to manage his emotions. But, he's still a human, and it's going to be natural to have a different type of feeling going into the game. And we got to be here to support him, but also to give him the right information to go out there and perform.
We'll jump to the Zoom and Cameron Dyer. Cameron, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, thanks for the time as always, Pat. Just obviously with Brian and Luca getting a red card there, should be unavailable for this match. Kind of how does that affect you all, obviously with Obi, still being out and whatnot?
One less player that we can choose from, so we can't pick Brian. We have to figure out who we put in there to replace him, and how that impacts the group and what's our strongest group. So it's unfortunate, but it's the reality that we're in right now. So it's no different than in previous moments like this where maybe you're thin in a particular position or as a group and you try to figure things out. So hopefully we can figure things out.
Yeah, and then obviously with Kevin coming back, just how's he ramping up, and kind of how much do you think he's capable of playing right now?
He's had a good probably 10-day stretch, but leading up to the Charlotte game, that was his first real push, and he's on a minutes restriction, so he's going to be able to play more than he did against Charlotte. And he's had a good week, and hopefully he can have a good Thursday and Friday, and then be ready to go on Saturday with whatever those minutes look like. But he's pushed himself in a good way, and I think if you look at what the timeline was from the onset of the injury, he got himself back quicker than maybe we anticipated, and that's because he pushed himself in a good way. So it's good to have him back.
Is there any
Thank you.
Is there any update on Luca, how he's doing?
Luca's day-to-day. He, had to come out at halftime, got the image, or right before halftime, got the image, and better news than expected. So that's a day-to-day, and it won't be, long-term. So we're happy about that.
And then Yuya, is he close to getting in with the group?
Yuya will be with the group on the field Tuesday as of this conversation. So hopefully that stays the same.
And then one more, is there any update on when you guys expect Ayub to arrive?
Day to day, we're trying, but as you know, these things don't always go as smoothly as you'd like them to. So I don't have a definitive answer there.
Pat, I wanted to follow up about the question about the midfield and what you guys might do, and not trying to get too specific about what you guys might do, but when you have to make a change like that or move away from a guy you use pretty regularly as a starter, does that require a holistic change to the way the whole team operates, or is it as simple as just who plays in that position for what you've done?
No, it depends on what you have and how you adjust to position guys around each other to be at their best, to be comfortable. You know, at times, sometimes there are times where you have to sacrifice and maybe play a guy out of position. We've seen that with wingbacks at the center back position where, yes, they can do it. Is it their most comfortable and natural position? No. So it just depends on what's behind a guy like Brian. And so Steven recently has done an excellent job with his minutes. We've looked at Pavel deeper. We've had Dotto deeper with Pavel. So those are three bodies that we've looked at centrally. And, you know, we've looked at other options as well to see, you know, what could be our best group. So we'll be confident with whoever's out there and try to go out and win a game.
And last one from me, but there are some familiar faces on the other side with Portland. Kevin Kelsey was part of that team, part of your group last year. But are there any other players that jump out to you on Portland who may stand out as being core to what they do, or maybe don't get the appreciation that the star talent might play a factor in this game?
Right. It probably wasn't until Phil mentioned Ayala that you start to take a closer look, just because we haven't, you know, you don't see as much of their team play with, you know, the conferences and the time of the game typically. Really strong player. I see what Phil sees. We've been impressed with him as a player. You know, DaCosta has, I think, continued to improve. A very dangerous player. Can beat you in a lot of different ways. I've always thought Mascara was a really dangerous, wide option for them. So those are some of the players that have, you know, kind of stuck out. I think Anthony, coming back from injury, is a very dangerous player that I obviously just lost, you know, Moreno. So he would have been in that conversation. But, yeah, like I said, it's a very talented group.
Pat, thanks so much.
Thank you.